Ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create...
फ्यूचर या दोस्तों चैनल में आपका स्वागत है। दोस्तों मैं कैपल के यानी कि डेमो सेंटर में आया हूं। तो दोस्तों आज हम आपको बताएंगे यानी कि टीवी कैबिनेट्स वगैरह के लिए ज्वाइंट वगैरह किस तरीके से किए जाते हैं। लेमिनो कंपनी का ये टूल्स है। दोस्तों मेरे फ्रेंड आए हुए हैं स्विट्जरलैंड से, ये आपको पूरा डेमो बताएंगे किस तरीके से हम आपको इसको इस्तेमाल करेंगे। तो दोस्तों जो सर वीडियो का लाइक का टारगेट मैंने रखा वो मैंने 10,000 का रखा। वो मुझे पता सभी कारपेंटर भाई वीडियो शुरू होने से पहले लाइक का बटन दबा देंगे। चलो दोस्तों वीडियो शुरू करते हैं।
You will find with the machine is of course the machine itself. What is inside the box, also the two spacers that we will need for different thicknesses of the material. One 2 mm spacer and one 4 mm spacer, okay? What else is there? We have angle stop or a square stop for the machine. I will show you a bit later what we can use this for. There is the manual and there is a tool set as well for changing the blade, for opening the machine also. And one important part, we have just a sample bag with all the connectors available, so the customer can have a look at it, see which connectors he might need. And also one important part is the drill jig, which we have talked about this access hole for the Climax, right? And to have it in the right position, being able to operate the connector, we have some sort of a drill jig. There is also a small suction stop with it, a smaller one for smaller diameters. It comes with the wood drill 6 mm and also the drill jig, which has basically two inserts. You see the number on it, the 14 and the 10, okay, for the small and the big connectors. We will basically use the 14. So with this drill jig, we are able to drill the access hole into all sorts of angles, okay. We can use it for 90-degree joints. We just cut the slot first and then we introduce the drill jig and we can push it to the surface. And now we will need a battery drill also, if we have one. Oh, nice. Is battery good? Oh, that's perfect. So with the drill now we can drill the access hole in the good position. It works also for 45 degrees because you see you can adjust it to the surface and then drill easily the access hole. It also works for other angles, 30 degrees, 60 degree, whatever, okay. One other important tool is this tool. We will use it a bit later. We will first have, when it comes to miters, angles and anything, this is an important tool to see which size of connector can I use and for the different angles, so that I don't have to make a sample each time. We will have a closer look how it works. So now when it comes to the machine, has someone of you already worked with a biscuit joiner? Yes. So what was important also for Lamello is that working with this machine stays the same as working with a biscuit joiner, okay? It's basically the same machine. What is different to it? I told you that this machine is reverse compliant to the systems we had before. And maybe you realized that the size of the biscuits were size 20, size 10, size 0 also. We can just adjust the depth for our biscuits here, okay? So this is the depth adjustment for the classic wooden biscuits and for all the other connectors. As long as we are working with the P-system connectors, which is those, we always remain the depth adjustment here to max. I will explain you why. So we have the second depth adjustment here on top for the P-system connectors. We have the classic depth adjustment for the wooden biscuits, everything here, and we have a separate depth adjustment here for the P-system connectors. It works the most easy if we pull the trigger back and then we can just adjust it to, for example, the Vario P18, we have the depth adjustment 18, for the Clamex P14, the 14, for the Clamex P10, so we can switch the depth within seconds, really quick, okay? We are now going for a P14 Clamex. So we have two possibilities in general to reference our machine to the workpiece. Whenever possible, we are working with the swiveling stop here, okay? So it has a stop in the position of 22.5, 45 and 67.5 degrees. So we can adjust two miters easily. And so whenever we are working, we try to work with this swiveling stop, meaning that from the surface here to the center of the cut, we will always have 10 millimeters. And from the bottom of the base plate to the center of cut, it will also be 10 millimeters, so that we can switch. And as a carpenter, we are trying to do now a 90-degree butt joint first. So we would try to do this scenario, okay? Normally we would, of course, put the edge band here, and once it is done, we would machine it. But we can do it like this. Swiss cabinet maker normally uses a triangle to show how the piece is assembled, because now once when I machine it, everything, I still know that it will come together like this. Huh? And for you also, when you do the sample, maybe to help you understand, is that basically now we need one slot here, and also one slot here, and one slot here, okay? So basically for a joint like this, we need two slots in the surface and two slots in the edge, of course. So it will come like this, and I usually start with the piece that has the slots in the edge. We now know that those two sides are our reference sides, okay? So we can place the part like this, and now I know where the triangle is. You can also help you out like this. There is a small triangle here on the machine. So this is the side which comes on the triangle, okay? If we put the machine like this, then we have the same distance to the slot from here and also from the outside here, and we will have a flush connection, okay? So now working with the machine in this position is pretty easy. I can go flush with the machine on one side, and then it's very easy. It's like a biscuit joiner. I can put my weight here, so the machine is not moving. And then I can just plunge in, plunge out, like a biscuit joiner. The magic about this machine is sitting on top of the machine. It's a vertical mechanical drive unit, okay? And you can maybe see here, we have a button on that unit. Once we reach the final depth of the cut, we will release this button here with the red lever. That's when the vertical mechanical drive is released. And when I do the slot, you can look at this pin, it will quickly move. It's really quick, it's within way less than 1 second, and it will move, and we will create this special slot, okay? So I will try to get, I can also do it here because the workpiece is big enough. The suction stop, 36 millimeters is most common for all the common hoovers, also dust suctions. So we have an automatic mode. So now all we do is we go flush with the surface on the right side and on the left side and create a slot, okay? When you do the slot, I want you to first start the machine, and then we approach the workpiece, and then we do the slot. Because when I put the machine like this and then I try to turn it on, it might be that I do a cut accidentally already, and that's not what we want, okay? So we always first turn the machine on, then we go to the workpiece, then we do the cut. And now when I do the first cut, you can maybe come a bit closer and see, then you will see also the pin moving. Important is that we go not too slow and not too fast. It depends a bit on the material, okay? If I have a very solid material like compact or a hardwood, then I go a bit slower. With MDF chipboard I can go also pretty fast, but not like hectic. We do a slow, complete movement. Important also to go full depth of the cut, because that's when the VMD is released, okay? As you see, watch once again. Here. It was really quick, like a quick movement of the blade. And that's where we already have created the slot now for the piece, okay? You see that the slot is not really in the center. This is like a 17.5 panel. For a 16 mm panel, for example, we use a 2 millimeter spacer, because it is 10 millimeters. With the 2 millimeter spacer, it's 8 mm. That would be exactly in the middle of a 16 mm panel, okay? Now, for a 17.5 mm panel, we can go like this. It's not in the center, but it will work. So we have that one piece. And now we have to create a slot in the surface. We are using the same adjustment because this is our reference now. We could also fix the piece like this and work like this, okay? But if you have a big workpiece, you have to attach it, which is not good. And also in terms of security. Imagine we have a 12 mm board and we have accidentally the wrong adjustment on the machine, like 14. And we hold maybe the machine like this. It's not so good for the fingers, okay? That's why we try always to work away from our body safely. So now we would do a slot like this in the surface, okay? And maybe you realize the problem is not very stable, huh? That's why one of those square stops is included with the machine. So with this square stop we can have a bigger surface. Can release it. So now we are already flush to the surface. We can fix it. Put the swiveling stop back again. And now we are able to work in the surface with the machine safely and stable, okay? So now we do the same. We have to we have to take care that we are in good contact with the machine to the edge also. And then we can machine our slot. Like this. And you can also hear it from the sound. There is a small noise from the machine that, you know, makes like... And so now we have the two parts. And we can try, for example, the customer decides to glue those two pieces to a cabinet or whatever. We have now the choice of a female and the male connector half. Now, what do you think? Which one is coming where? The female here?
Yes.
Why?
Because of the depth.
The depth is 14 for both of them.
Yeah, correct.
It's correct, but why here?
That connector is coming from top now. It's for stable.
Maybe yes. First reason to put it on this side, flat packing. If you put this half here, it's not good, you cannot stack it anymore, okay? Second reason or second advantage, if we put this here and this here, is without the positioning pins, we need to target where do we have to insert, okay? If I have it the other way around, I don't see this from here, then I had to go here or look like this, where is it? Like this we can easily target, okay? I know I have to go in there. Now, of course, I would first put my glue, and then I can just assemble it from here. And now I see, okay, this is pretty perfect. Even if not, I still have the possibility to adjust now. I'm not flush now, so I can just and once I'm flush with both surfaces, now there is enough pressure on the joint to glue those two pieces, okay? So now if I have a car case or a cabinet or anything, I can apply the glue once I'm done with all the slots and then just click it together, and I don't have to go and take a clamp or anything because this is closing the joint now nicely. You can also touch it, and it's really flush to the surface also perfectly, and it will glue the pieces together like this, okay? Oh, you're a skeptic, huh? Yeah, it's pretty perfect now, okay? So that's for tenso. If now we decide to use a Clamex, then okay, we need the access hole for it. We can take those connectors out easily. So the access hole for the connector usually goes into the surface of where the connector sits in the edge. And normally for this kind of joint, we would of course do it on the inside because it has to be nice on the outside. So we can just apply the drill jig, put it to the surface, and then with any sort of, now I have to, there is a depth adjustment on the drill as well. So if we do a serial, we could now adjust it to the depth that we need. I normally don't work with this depth stop because you will feel when you do your sample, you feel it when you go into the groove, okay? So now we can just have a visually control here. If we see 1 mm of the slot on both sides, then I'm perfectly middled, okay? Then we can just hold it and drill through. I do this full speed with the drill because then I have a nice surface also. And that's pretty much it. We have the access holes now on the inside, and now I'm gonna switch connector. Same as for the tenso, is for the climax also. I normally put the male half into the edge and the female part into the surface, okay? Like this. And now it's a question. I have this climax connector and the hole is only accessible from one side. So now I have to take care which side I slide it into the groove. Wouldn't it be easier to have it from both sides accessible so I don't have to care which way I enter it? Why not?
It has to go in and lock in one direction.
Exactly. Important, because if I can access this from both sides, I enter the connector and then I never know, do I close the connector clockwise or counterclockwise? That's why we can only access it from one side. Okay, I have to take a quick look that I enter it the right way, but that's not a big problem. And like this, even if the furniture is ready assembled, I always know, okay, counterclockwise I can open the connector and clockwise I can close it. So now, same as with the tenso, I can assemble it, and now you can come and feel. It's not good, eh? Push it a bit. Yeah, slowly, slowly. When you say it's good, then I trust you. It's not good, it's perfect. So then, once we haven't closed the connector yet, we can still adjust it laterally and then just go from the inside. And I will feel when it's locked because it will make a little bit of, and then I realize that I'm completely done. Okay? So now we have a detachable joint, and you can come and touch it if it's 99% good here, but also good on the outside, okay? Flush with the surface. We still have the possibility, if it's not 100%, to adjust it a bit, because it has a very small tolerance also in this direction. And we created now a joint which is also pretty stable, okay? And that's pretty much how we work with the machine, and also how I want you to work with the machine when we do the demo, and also if you do the demo at the customer. Work safely, work reasonably, work slow but properly, and then we can have nice joints with this system. Okay? A miter joint like this now. Okay? And since I don't know exactly, can I use the biggest size of connectors, or will there be any problems? Because I might show up with the cutter on the opposite side, okay? So we have to choose the right position of the cutter in the material. That's where this tool that I showed you before comes out, okay? So we are going to have a joint like this. Can someone tell me how I should use this wheel? First of all, there is two scenarios. There is an orange and a green scenario. What is the difference between the two scenarios?
The orange one is a miter.
Yes.
Miter, and the groove is 90 degree with the miter here, and it is both overlapped.
Yes.
Here it is not on the miter. One is on the miter part, the other one
Exactly. We have two scenarios. Either we have a edge-to-edge connection, so both cutting surfaces are facing each other, no matter what angle, or we have the situation where we have an edge-to-face connection. That would be, for example, a connection like this, which we will also do afterwards, okay? This would be, which scenario, green or orange?
Green.
This would be a green scenario, and this would be an orange scenario, okay? So now, important for you to know, we are not looking on the angle of the cut, but we are watching at the total angle of the joint. So what would this be? Which?
90.
Orange scenario and 90 degree, okay? Then we can just put to the orange 90 degree, and now let's say it is an 18 mm board. Can you tell me which connector I can use and which spacer do I have to use?
P14.
18 mm, P14, and which spacer?
18 and P14. Okay, 2 mm.
No, you see the big square,
Okay, yeah.
the big fulfilled square is the 4 mm spacer. If we go to a smaller angle here, then it will change to the 2 mm spacer. Okay, and some of the joints I can do without a spacer, okay? But for a 90 degree mitered joint now, let's say it's 18 mm material, we can use for 18 millimeters the P14 connector with a 4 mm spacer, okay? What would this scenario be?
That's the green one.
Green one in 45. Possible with the same setting on the machine?
Green one in 45.
Yeah, now we are looking at the total angle of the connection, which is 45 degrees, right?
Now we are here at 45. And 4 mm spacer. P14.
P14 with 4 mm spacer, okay? So now I really have to do a sample because it's a bit less than 18. I will see if I show up on the other side, otherwise we have to switch size of the connector to the P10, okay? So what I can do, just to see, for example, it's easy, it's a 45 degrees, so we will adjust to 45 degrees. Now I have the spacers here, 4 mm spacer, which I can just put on the machine, okay? And now I have to see that I go to the workpiece and I need to have full contact on both surfaces of the machine, okay? Here it happens very easily that while I want to do the cut, I lift the machine up maybe a little bit and then the cut is not in the good position, okay? I will now try to do a cut. I will use one of these work pieces and then just see if we show up on the other side. It will be very short, I guess, but we will see. So same, we turn the machine on. There is different, let's say, tactics. Some of them put the machine like this and then go down on the miter. I normally put it like this and then I approach the miter like this, okay? But up to you to find out what is the best way. Like this. And now we see we are pretty close, I guess, to the surface, but it's working, okay? So for the most common thicknesses of material, 16, 18, 19 and 22 mm, I have a very reliable tool to help me find the right connector so that I don't have to make a sample every time, okay? So I will take these pieces and now do a slot on both sides, again flush with the machine. So now I can also check visually. I see that it's in a pretty good position to have a flush miter on the outside. So there is two things. This tool works always as long as we are working with the machine from the inside of the miter, okay? This is the inside of the miter. We have the possibility also to reference the outside of the miter, which will be more precise, but I have to adjust the machine individually, okay? But the advantage of joining from the outside of the miter is that if we have tolerances in the board, yes, they go inside. So if we have tolerances in the board here, or even if I want to join, let's say, 16 mm and an 18 mm panel, if I reference the outside, then I don't care if on the inside it's a step, okay? And we can do it with the square stop. I can reference the outside when I put the machine like this, okay? We have a 45 degree here on the angle stop, and now let's say here on the scale I can adjust the position of the cut. I can go a bit more up, a bit more down. Here I don't have a tool, but I have to find out where is the good position, and then I can also cut the piece like this, okay? So now I am referencing the outside, and I can make sure that even if I have thicknesses, different thicknesses in the material, that the outside of the miter is always perfect, okay? Here we have two panels which are cut from the same panel, and I guess the material thicknesses are more or less the same. So what we do now, again, we have to cut our access hole, visually control. Can put it on the surface. It's always best if you hold it at least with one finger so it will not move, okay? Go full speed as well. So now you can see that we have a nice access hole also in 45 degree angles. With a sharp drill bit, you can come a bit closer, then we also have a really nice surface, okay? We have the cover caps available also for 45 degrees, that we can cover it. So now again, same game. I will reuse these connectors. Still, we can adjust it to be flush with the surface. And now we have a miter which is more or less pretty perfect on the outside. Last thing that we can do, maybe we have a sanding pad somewhere. So you can check if this is a good quality miter from the outside, because you will not, and it's pretty stable also, and you will not see any of the miter when you work properly with the system, okay? Of course, if I want, I can break it. It's only MDF, okay? But normally, if you have a furniture, it's not stressed like this. It's stressed like this or like this. And then it's a pretty stable solution. Also, if you want to do a big wardrobe or whatever, it works also for bigger parts. And this works for miters in all angles also. So I want to show you now one thing which is also possible with the system. Does someone have a nice pencil where I can do fine lines? Those two pieces like this, okay? So how can I do it to find the good distance to the slot here? There is one feature on the machine. We added it like 3 years ago. We have the center of the blade here on the side as well. Okay. So if I do these slots here, before or after I do the slots or whatever, I can also mark the center of my blade here, okay? That's why I need a really fine pencil. I can put a mark here. Now I know where the center of the cut is. I can hold my piece so that it is more or less flush here. Okay, it's not that easy, but it will work. Okay, and now I will show you one reason why you should recommend the customer to buy a second one of those, because one is included with the machine. I can use this square stop now to adjust the position of the cut on the piece, okay? So for example, I can go like this now and adjust the position of the slot to the mark I did. Like this, it will be more or less good, okay? But now we have the problem that we're still not so stable with the machine. I brought one extra piece here, just to show you. Now, for example, we can have a second square stop to still have the machine stable to the surface, okay? And now we can try to approach this marking and creating the joint. And now we can check if I worked properly enough. There is two possibilities, okay? I can either put the mark, transmit it to the other part and work with this. I can also measure it. So I can measure the distance on this part from the center of the cut to the edge of the piece, okay? Then I can measure the distance from this edge to this edge and just add the two. Adjust this on the machine here and then I can go like this. The problem is a bit, if I ask 10 people to give me the distance of this, I will maybe have 10 different measurements, okay? Because one's eyes are good, one's eyes are not so good, one is looking like this, one is looking like this. So for all angles, working with the marking on the machine works really well. And now we want to see if I did some proper work here. And now you will also see why it is good to have one of those. Because now with the regular Allen key, I might maybe not be able to operate the connector because I cannot access it, okay? So I can still so you can check if I did proper work. It's good. It's maybe a little bit here and I can still push it a bit. So we have a very small tolerance also in this direction. Now where is the, he's on the phone again. He is very, he's here. What do you think? It's good? A little bit. So with the marking on the machine, we can work in all angles, okay? It's 30 degrees, it's 65 degrees, whatever. We can work in all angles and create also, that's what we call roof joints. Because often under the roof, we have like always roofs like this in Switzerland. They work with those joints for wardrobes or whatever that are customized for under the roof. They work with those kind of connections. And we can do it in every angle. We can also do it in every position. So I could also put this more inside. Of course, somewhen with the square stop here, I am limited where I can go. But then I can also just work with a marking on the board. I can put a line with a right angle and then just have the markings of the machine onto the line and cut it in the middle of the surface or wherever, okay? And now I will show you one more thing also about the machine. Is, for example, if your customer have, let's say, a boring machine or a very simple 3-axis machine, and he cannot do the connectors on the machine. He still has an opportunity to combine the advantages of his machine with the hand tool. I have to get quickly my magic box. So you see those rubber pads here. This provides, makes the machine not glide too much while I'm grooving, okay? I can take those rubber pads out. The easiest way to do it is with the short Allen key, which is included. I can go in from the side and push the rubber pads out, okay? Now, we have some positioning pins and a little box screw. We have the positioning pins in diameter of 5 and 8 millimeter. So 5 and 8 millimeter. We can adjust these pins here, lock it with the screw on the side. And now if we have a simple CNC router, we can just drill 2 holes of 101 mm distance on the router or on the CNC machine. And what we can do then with the pins, we can just go with the machine, push it into these 2 holes and do the cut. And the next one, and the next one, very efficiently, without measuring or anything.
So these pins will go into those holes as a reference.
You have to, yes, you have the 2 pins and you have the 2 holes, and then, because this is the center of the blade also, it doesn't matter if you hold the machine like this or like this, it will always be in the center. Okay? So if the customer is not able to do the slots themselves on the machine, he can still combine it with every simple 3-axis router or boring machine. He can just drill the 2 holes and then do the slots very efficiently with the machine by just applying to these 2 holes and then doing the cut, okay? Which is way more efficient than instead of measuring, oh, I need 1 slot here and I need 1 slot here. Do it on the machine and then you can combine it with the hand tool way more efficiently, okay? All right.
So if the customer wants the lamello in a position, then from the center point 110
From the center point 50.5 in each direction, a hole. And every of your customer has either a 5 or a 8 mm drill on the machine, because 8 mm they use for doubling, 5 mm they use for flexible shelving. So that's tool that he has already, okay? And then we can combine it, also the two of them. So now there is one more thing. We have seen the climax and the tenso, which is more or less the same, okay? Exactly, we need to do something on the divario as well. I'm doing 1 sample. So what we are doing now is we act like this would be the furniture and this would be the shelf, okay? So now first thing we do, I will maybe do it over here because now we have to slide the machine, okay? And you will So now it's a bit a different setup of the machine also. You remember the divario, we need a continuous groove. We can do it with the machine, okay? And we will have it, or we want to have it close on the one side, and on the other side we can open it. So that we can slide it in. First is, because I want to slide the machine, I take those rubber pads out because they will prevent me from sliding, okay? Rubber pads out. And now I want to do a continuous slot from here all over to half here, because here is the maximum thickness of the cutter. And you see, this is dangerous. Now we have one situation where the cutter can be open, okay? That's why when we do divario, we always work with the square stop. We can just adjust it to half of the thickness, which for 17.5 would approximately be 7.75. 8.75, sorry. So I will approximately adjust 8.75. No, like this. So now, when we come out here, you see, I can hurt myself, but I have to be stupid, okay? So now, what I try to do is cut from this mark So I will not see it in the front and slide to the middle here, okay?
One question, you said one side we have to conceal, I mean one side should not be open and the
Yes, this one will be closed and the other side will be opened.
this mark is the cut,
This is the maximum you can go without having the connector visible on the outside. Okay? So we have this mark on the machine on the bottom. We have this mark on the square stop here on top. We also have it on the swiveling stop. We also have it on the square stop. So that every time we know, okay, I can place the machine like this and the connector will not be visible, okay? So now I need the correct depth adjustment. Because we want to do just a simple continuous groove, we will not need any wobbling of the blade. So we will turn this mechanism off. And we will go for the depth adjustment here to 0, because this will give us an 8 mm groove. Okay? So now it's a bit tricky because I have to take care that I am full depth, whole of the cut, that I am stable like this, and I'm also stable like this, okay? It needs a bit of exercise, but it works pretty nice if you have done it once, twice. It's not a magic. I will try. I will go like this. And now we have a continuous groove on the workpiece, or on the shelf, we could say, or on the partition. I could theoretically turn it around now and do it on the other side. I will flip it like this. Good or no good? Better like this. Okay, why? Same thickness. I don't know if I adjusted correctly the middle of the thickness, okay? That's why I would turn it like this. And now, because of the way the cutter turns, important, I go always from this side. Because the cutter turns like this, if I go from this side, it might get away from me, okay? So here the difference is now I start at half and I go to this mark, okay? So now, yeah, it looks a bit strange because I had another slot there, but I have the continuous groove now here and on the other side, so I can insert my shelf like this. You see, it's a bit more effort for the cabineo and also a different setting, but it works. So now I had it like this. Now I can put the adjustment here back to max, because I will use the P system depth adjustment again, and I can use the P18 here, because it's the Divario P18, okay? And now I will just do the slots for the connector. And now, unfortunately, I don't have Divario here, so I have to pick two from this set. And maybe then when you sell it, you have to replace it from a box or... So, we have this special tool inside. It also comes with the professional sortainer, or I buy it separately. With this tool, I can install my connector to the slot. It is a spring-loaded, and there is 2 pins inside which will hold the connector in the slot, because when it's sliding and I try to enter the shelf, it will like block, okay? So I will put it like this into the slot, and now you see I have a leveling line, so that I can make sure that I'm leveled with the surface. And now you can use a hammer or the hand to fix it. Like this. So now what we need is, so this would be on the shelf. We need also the machining for the furniture, which would be 2 8mm holes. In this set I also have a plastic jig, which I can drill the holes. There is also a metal one that the customer can order separately. It works even better, but also with this one it will work. First of all, I have to see, okay, where do I want to put? I would say, okay, I put into 150 mm on both sides, like this. Then I can just put my little jig on here, and this is where the connector is sitting, okay? So I can drill these 2 holes. With the metal jig, we have marking pins where we can just tap on and we directly have a hole in the surface. With this one I have to mark by hand, okay? And now, does someone have Allen key set, maybe? We have an 8mm drill, also with the depth stop, that comes also with the set. And with this we can drill the holes for the male part of the connectors, okay? I have this quick. The pin is 9mm, so I will adjust the depth approximately to 10mm, 10-11mm. Like this. And now I see that, Jesus, this thing is turning. Why?
Because that's the jig that has to sit there. It should not turn.
It should not turn because of the marking. If I have a high glossy surface or anything and I drill it, then it might leave traces on the surface, okay? So with this now, with the centering point, I can go here. I can hold it and drill the hole. Knocked in with a hammer. After you have installed these, we have the machining on the shelf, a continuous groove, and 2 local fixed connector halves. Okay? And then we can either go from the front, like this, all the way, like this, or we can also go half the way. So this would now be on the furniture for shelf, or it can also be a partition vertically, completely invisible and with a stable and closed joint also, okay?
दोस्तों टूल के बारे में मैंने आपको पूरी अच्छी तरीके से डिटेल में मेरे फ्रेंड फिलिप ने बता दिया कि किस तरीके से हमें इस्तेमाल करना है, क्या क्या इसकी टेक्निक है। ये अगर आपने वीडियो पूरी देखी होगी, स्किप नहीं की होगी, तो मुझे लगता है आपको पूरा अच्छी तरीके से समझ में आ गया होगा। तो दोस्तों ये आपको वीडियो कैसी लगी, अच्छी लगी तो चैनल को लाइक करना, सब्सक्राइब करना, साथ में बेल आइकन का बटन जरूर दबा देना, जिससे आने वाली वीडियो की नोटिफिकेशन आपको सबसे पहले मिल जाएगी। मिलते हैं एक नई वीडियो के साथ, धन्यवाद, बाय।